Hello everyone and welcome to another Versus Video Deck Tech. I am BBD, joined again by
CBM.
We're going to be battling some more standard decks with Fate Reforged, Khans of Tarkir, Theros, Born of the Gods, Journey to Nyx, M15.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Usual.
Yeah, so this is a deck from the most recent Grand Prix in Memphis where Tomoharu Saito piloted this mono black humans deck that looked really interesting, so we are going to be battling with that this week. And yeah, it's definitely an off-the-radar deck. Like, this isn't something that I've actually ever seen before, really, so...
Yeah, it's kind of similar to, like, the No Limit Soldiers deck that came out of Pro Tour. Khans of Tarkir, was it M15?
It was M15.
Pro Tour M15. And Saito actually was 1 win away from top 8, and he lost his last round.
He did, yes.
To go X3-1. And the deck's just really interesting.
Yeah, so basically the core of the deck here is Obelisk of Turd, and you just have, like, all these humans in the deck that are extremely cheap. For example, you have 15 1-drop humans, and then you have another 2-drop in Painseer. So there's just so many very cheap humans that you can use to convoke for Obelisk of Urd, and then you can just name human with it and make all your creatures, like, actually relevant threats. And especially with Bloodsoaked Champion being able to come back over and over again. If you have a 4/3 Bloodsoaked Champion,
that's rough.
That's actually a pretty reasonable threat against pretty much every deck. And other than that, it's just a super aggressive deck where you can a lot of times just go really... even if you don't have an Obelisk, you can just kill your opponent really fast sometimes, especially with Mogis' Marauder, letting you get Intimidate to get past, like, board stalls, you know, when your opponent lands some fat creature like a Polukranos or whatever. Unfortunately, Mogis' Marauder doesn't help against Siege Rhino, but what does? Pretty much nothing, so...
Hero's Downfall.
Hero's Downfall, yeah.
Yeah, Mogis Marauder is a card that I have had high hopes for a long time, but there just really hasn't been a deck for it. But the card is very, very good.
It is.
And it's one of those unique type of cards where you kind of have to play it smart. Sometimes it's not correct to jam it on 3, because the creatures that you target with it also get haste.
Yeah.
So, you know, on 4 you can play a 1-drop and a Marauder and give them both haste and get a bunch of extra damage. So it's definitely a tricky card that can just win games out of nowhere.
Yeah, it is. It's actually just a really interesting card for a black deck to have because gaining haste is not really typically a black ability. So
correct.
It's actually kind of an interesting card. I'm surprised they even printed it, and it's definitely very powerful, but has not really had a great home because of black aggro just not being, like, that powerful of a archetype. And then to round things out with our main deck, we have Bile-Blights and Heroes Downfalls, and I think Bile-Blight is essential, and the reason there's 4 in the deck is because of Hordling Outburst. All of these creatures die to Hordling Outburst for the most part, so having access to Bile-Blight is, like, pretty integral in being able to keep goblins off the table to let your guys continue to attack. And then Downfalls for, you know, Polukranos, other big monsters, Siege Rhino and the like.
Corsair Crewfix.
Yeah, things that are going to brick wall your guys. And I guess there's one other thing I didn't mention, and that is we have Mardu Strike Leader, which I really like these kinds of cards a lot that just generate consistent advantage the more and more they're in play. So I have a soft spot for this card, and I'm, like, really happy to see it in a deck because it's pretty sweet.
I kind of wish that they had designed the card so that the tokens came into play tapped and attacking as well. Yeah. I don't think you could have it be a 3-mana 3/2 and have that work, but, like, maybe a 3-mana 2/1 that also gives you a 2/1 that's attacking might have been pretty unique. But nonetheless, it does generate just a lot of advantage.
Yeah. The mana base is just all swamps and fetches. The reason for the fetch lands, normally I would just play 22 swamps in this deck, but there are murderous cuts in the sideboard, and you want to be able to fuel your delve, and the few points of damage don't generally matter that much. They can matter, especially because a lot of these guys can't block, but or come into play tap so that they don't block very, very well. Yeah. But at the same time, I think having access to that to fuel murderous cuts probably worth it. On that note, let's go ahead and look at the sideboard and see what options we have there. All right, we are back with the sideboard here, and basically it's just a bunch of removal spells, Thoughtseize, and a couple of threats. These removal spells are going to be basically useful in a variety of matchups. Against, like, big green decks, we want the cuts and the downfalls, and probably not the Bile-Blights. And then there are matchups like against Jeskai or decks like that where we maybe don't want the cuts or downfalls because they're too slow, and we might want to overload on Bioblight and Ulcerate to handle their earlier threats. So we have a lot of options when it comes to removal, and maybe there's even matchups where we just want all of it. I don't actually know, but
yeah,
it's reasonable that there are matchups that exist where we just want all these cards. Fourth Thoughtseize is going to be mainly for control decks.
Blue-White Heroic.
Yeah, Blue-White Heroic. Yeah, we probably
there has to be one.
yeah, this is probably pretty good against Blue-White Heroic. Just infinite removal.
Just actually kill everything.
We have 4 Thoughtseizes for like basically control decks, probably Abzan mid-range, things like that. Anything that might have a sweeper type effect or that's just super slow. Thoughtseize is a good way to disrupt them. You can also make the swap for Bioblight in some matchups and stuff. And then 4 Heralds, which I think the Heralds are, again, like these are the kinds of cards you're going to want to bring in when Obelisk maybe isn't a good card, or Bioblight and Downfall aren't good cards. You have like more threats to bring in that are a little bit more resilient.
Yeah.
Than just having like Obelisk, which isn't that good if they're going to kill all your guys.
Yeah, I definitely like Herald quite a bit in this deck. I'm surprised there isn't any in the main, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's in matchups where your Obelisk is not going to be good, or they're just going to be killing a bunch of your creatures, definitely you want the Heralds.
Yeah, I think the reason for it not being the mains, you only have 22 lands.
Yeah.
And so you're basically just going to be playing as a 3/3 flyer most of the time. But you can definitely see in post-board games, especially in grindier matchups, where even though you only have 22 lands, you're still going to get to 5 mana. You know, maybe not on turn 5, but like on turn 9 or something. Yeah. And having access to the bestow is actually going to be really important.
Plus, it's not a human. I just realized that.
It is not a human.
And if we're going to play human tribal, we're going to play human tribal.
Yeah, we're not going to play. We're not playing enchantment creature demon tribal.
No.
No. But anyway, this is the mono black deck from Saito, and I'm excited to battle with it. So hopefully we get to see it do some sweet things. Make sure you check out CVM's deck tech as well. He is piloting a monster-ish deck.
Oh yeah, we got monsters.
Yeah.